In lesson 4, we're going to talk a little bit more about the subjunctive mood. So we're going to go a little bit more into depth. So remember, the subjunctive mood shows a wish, a suggestion, or a possible condition. So if I were alive, I demand that I be at the party. So remember that the conditional mood is kind of like, if this, then that would happen. The subjunctive mood uses those kind of like weird statements like if I were, because you wouldn't say if I was alive, okay? But was is usually the correct tense that you would use for the word I, right? So if you see that it's using kind of like a weird tense in there, that is probably the subjunctive mood, okay? All right, so a subjunctive mood, again, is used to express a wish, a demand, a suggestion, a recommendation, a request. It's not used very often anymore, guys. And it uses verb forms of the word be, right? So present tense be, past tense was were, and of have, present tense of have. And then walk, tell, and most other verbs with no S at the end of the verb for both singular and plural nouns. Okay, so it uses, like I said, it just uses kind of verb forms that don't seem appropriate for the sentence. So if the sentence looks a little bit weird, again, it's probably subjunctive mood. So let's go ahead and watch a short video on the subjunctive mood.
What is the subjunctive mood? Well, to talk about the subjunctive mood, first we need to know what the indicative mood is. What's the indicative mood? The indicative mood talks about real things, facts, real life, normal things. For example, I am Ali. I live in London. Yesterday I ate ice cream. So when I talk about facts, real things, the verbs don't change. Nothing strange happens to them. And when nothing strange happens to the verbs, and we're talking about real life, real facts, that is what we call the indicative mood. It is what it is, it's real life. Well done, you just learned the indicative mood. And what's the opposite of real? Not real. Imaginary things, right? And that is when we use the subjunctive mood, when we're talking about things which are not real. So, for example, wishes, dreams, hypothetical situations, anything contrary, opposite to fact, things that aren't real. Maybe you're wishing for something that hasn't happened yet, or something which isn't true. Also for that clauses, so verbs which state beliefs, opinions, possibilities, probabilities, commands, and all those lovely creamy types of sentences. For example, you look sleepy. I suggest that you be asleep before 10 o'clock. Notice that she said, I suggest that you be asleep before 10 o'clock, not I suggest that you are asleep. Why? Well, this is another example of the subjunctive mood. That verb suggest has the that clause. We use the verb be and it doesn't change. I suggest that you be. He suggests that I be. What? English is ridiculous. Aha! So if I say I believe that God not be real, or I believe God be real, that would be the correct way to say it, right? I mean, it's a belief, right? Right? Well, this is an example of how the English language changes over time. The subjunctive mood, it's kind of dying. It's not very common anymore. The subjunctive mood isn't super common these days. So if you said something like, I believe God not be real, that would sound kind of old-fashioned. Instead, today you would say, I believe God isn't real. That would sound more common. Why? Well, it's that indicative mood we learned earlier. The subjunctive mood is slowly being replaced by that indicative mood. Why? Because it's easy and we don't need to change verbs in strange ways. However, in that example we heard, I suggest that you be asleep before 10 o'clock. Yeah, you'd probably still hear that from parents. Why is that okay and this one not? Why? Because English, that's why. How do other verbs other than be work with that clauses? It's super easy. Just use the infinitive without to. Easy. It's necessary that no one go outside during the zombie attack. Also for official motions, statements, orders. For example, the president stated that everyone be inside their house during the zombie attack. That example, think of it this way. If after everyone it said must be, we know it's an order, right? So with an official order, command, statement, motion, then we use that subjunctive mood. Again, these days, subjunctive mood, it's not super common. In fact, we only really see it when we're talking about things which are not real, things which are imaginary. So in sentences like, I wish, if only, as if you're using that second conditional to talk about an imaginary present situation, you should use that subjunctive mood. And if you're using the verb be after a pronoun, it should be were for all pronouns. Yes, even he, she, it, and I. Indicative mood, if I was. Subjunctive mood, if I were. Why? Because English. For example, if I were, or more formally, were I in The Walking Dead, I would be friends with Eugene. Now, I am neither in Walking Dead or friends with Eugene. This situation is completely untrue, unfortunately. Eugene is awesome. But because it's completely untrue, that's why we use the subjunctive mood. And again, just remember, if I were, if he, she, it were. All pronouns, if, were. So we've all heard the very common sentence, if I was you, I wouldn't do that. Shouldn't it be, if I were you, I wouldn't do that? Well, now you know the answer. If I were you, that's the subjunctive mood, and that's correct, because it's not a real situation. However, like I said before, English changes so damn fast that many people say if I was you, and if I was is becoming the normal way to use it, even though the subjunctive mood is more correct, but If I was, you'll hear it a lot, and if you say it, no one will kill you. How do we use subjunctive mood with wishes? I wish you were here. I wish he were not here. These are all present situations which are not real. Again, the same rule applies. We use the verb were when we need be. Just know that wish, would, that's wishing for a future situation.
Oh, I wish the world would recover from this zombie attack.
Let's contrast it with hope. Hope we use for things which might be real. It's possible, it could happen. For example, sunny tomorrow could happen, so I'll use hope, not wish. So I would say, I hope it is sunny tomorrow. Hope with a present verb. Wish, however, that is for things which are not true, cannot be true, they're impossible. So it takes the subjunctive mood. I hope you subscribe, and I wish you were here, having a big party. You understood everything? Awesome. Okay, click here to watch a video where we use the subjunctive mood in many different examples. So click here to watch that, and click here to subscribe. See you in the next class.
Okay, so I am pulling up my notes again, and I added a few things to my notes. And you'll see here, this was talking about the subjunctive, and remember we talked about how the subjunctive sounds more formal. It uses verb forms like be, were, have, no S at the end of verbs. It just doesn't sound correct when you listen to the sentence, okay? So if it looks a little bit weird to you, it's probably subjunctive. And as he mentioned, it's imaginary, okay? So something that could happen or should happen or would happen, right? So I can use those kind of words in the sentence as well. But hopefully this gives you a little bit better idea of what the subjunctive mood is. All right, guys, have a great day. See you tomorrow.